Heyo, it's dangerous time. 11:04 Central Standard Time, Winning Wednesday, bringing you the encouragement in sometimes discouraging moments. But you know what? We are encouraged because innovation is winning across the Department of the Air Force, the United States Air Force. It really is, all day, every day. And right here, right now, we have one of the massive winners with us. Bada boom! Wedge Bunker.
Yeah,
co-founder right there.
A lot of energy. Wow.
Dude, so much energy. 20 seconds right now. Follow, like, share, wherever you're watching this from. Do yourself a favor. Just watch it. And like it and share it and comment and join us. Also, happy and excited to be sharing this also over Air Force Gaming on Discord. Watch out, because here in the future we're going to be up on Twitch as well. Trigger Jordan right here with Morpheus, your strategic innovation cell team across the United States Air Force, bringing, communicating, transitioning, connecting, doing all the things that we do. But most importantly, you're not here to talk about that. You're here to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, one of the awesome dudes. You hear Cap talking about him all the time. I'll put a capital TH, the Wedge Bunker. Boom.
Yeah.
There he is.
For the intro, Trigger.
Yeah, dude. Of course.
Again.
You're like, man, when am I actually going to get on camera? Sorry. We just do the
Well, but
do
it
the
kind of
fun
ruins
intro.
the facade. So if I'm always just referred to by Cap and other people, no one actually meets me, then you just assume I'm this, behind the scenes puppet master. Right. I'm gonna bring down the whole facade's gonna come crashing down today.
You're so much more than a puppet. You are the master of the puppets. Dude,
is this the day I become a supervillain? Is this how it starts?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Hey, as people are joining us for Winning Wednesday, wherever you're watching from, make sure you let us know not only the location, but we can see normally where you're watching from: YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitch, whereas Facebook. There's the old facey face, and then also if you're on Teams, you can watch this later through the link. If you're on the military network, you can go through, click the link, follow, and share this as well with Teams under the Coliseum channel. So, Wedge, as we're talking, man, Winning Wednesdays, we talk wins across the Air Force, and you've been in the innovation system for a while. I say innovation system, the ecosystem.
I'm a graybeard, that's for sure.
Yeah, almost whitebeard. Like, you've been in a while. You've been a long time. Long time.
I did shave about 2 hours ago, so otherwise you would see this flowing white Gandalf beard right now.
Gandalf beard. I love it. I love it. Hey, for those who don't know just in your experience, I remember first hearing about you with Tony Perez back. I guess we would talk about AFWorks 1.0, the very kind of stand-up of AFWorks Spark Cells. And Tony was talking about you, the great work that was happening with you and the team. And he started talking about AllSpark, what AllSpark was, and design warfare and the mindset, and then meeting you at Spark conferences and cells. And man, there's been massive wins. If you rewind over the last 4 years, major wins, because innovation was not a hot topic. Really, frankly, you'd say it and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was intangible, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, completely. And you've been in the mix of a lot of that. So if you don't mind, Cap has kind of previously given us general ideas like what design warfare is, but I know also you were one of those co-founder drivers of what it's really grown into and what it enables. And that's really the win we want to talk about today is man, design warfare, that capability when you get into those core cohorts, what it does, how it does it, and the mindset that it releases. Because every time you talk to a DW graduate, it's like you talk to this full thinking, wide open perspective person that's just like been enlightened. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I see it. I get to see the day one raw airmen. The older guys like us, they're even better because they're crusty and bitter from the big blue machine. And if they get through day 28, it's very exciting. That's the best thing for trying to make the course, get senior leader engagement, is we show them at day one and show them at day 28, and they see the difference in the airmen.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that you put me on Winning Wednesday, but I would think that Failure Friday would be way easier. Wins to fails are like a 1 to 10 ratio. So
Yeah.
it's hard to find these wins, but oh man, my wins are built on just a graveyard of failures over the
Yeah.
last 2.5 years.
Yeah, I truly do feel like it's kind of funny that you bring that up because oftentimes, man, it is hard to distinguish between uh winning Wednesday and fail fast Friday because most of the time when you start talking about the wins, like those stories inherently come up of, oh man, yeah, like we're talking about the win, but you need to see how many times I failed. Like go to the graveyard in the back. There's a lot of bad ideas that got buried out in the backyard that just didn't work. But the same thing is true because when you're talking about the failures, normally there's that follow-on piece that says, but like we got to this success, we got to this place success, or we learned how to be able to do that, how to be able to get there, which is, I mean, that inside itself is really, really awesome. So, dude, over to you because I know you're getting ready to go to Blue Horizons, a phenomenal program, kind of ACSE driven program. You're getting ready to head over there here very, very soon. But the experiences that you've had overall in DW and the wins of what that is, would you mind diving into that? Maybe giving a little bit of that background because I think we all have our innovation manifesto or the birth of our innovation mindset, but I don't know, man, that we've heard yours, and I don't think we've heard that.
All right, let's talk innovation. Um, I do like to uh, talk about meeting Tony Perez at a Spark Summit. I had no idea what a Spark Summit was, of course, but I got a few $1,000s to buy GPS watches for aircrew. We had some jet issues. We were worried about overpressurization, so it was justified. Um, but just getting a small SIF win, a couple $1,000s for those, is why I went to the Spark Summit because I was the innovation guy. Um, Zero innovation in that, by the way. It was well, I don't know. It was a new use. It was outside the box thinking, but just a little innovation.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so went down to the summit and we learned what SIBR was. Um, that was confusing, but Tony described this collider event, and then they promised me millions of dollars in free SIBR money, uh, and I didn't believe them. It took at least 3 to 4 beers before I believed anything they said about free money. Um, But
yeah.
I went for it, mostly out of boredom, curiosity, and we did a collider a month later. We brought in 35 SIBR companies, ended up getting 4 SIBR phase twos. This is back in the 18 cycle, and then we just went after these projects. The following year, we kind of got better at SIBR, and then we had, half a dozen more SIBR contracts. I think we got like $26 million worth of contracts those first few years. And then Colonel Sumangill, he took over the wing, and he was just like, "What are you guys doing? You don't just the object is not just to get a bunch of free money. That's not how any of this works." But Cap and I, we didn't know what design thinking was in user centric. Um, we didn't really care about champions at the airman level, none of that, and like he could not convince us. No matter how many knife hands he threw away, he could not convince us that it wasn't just about the money. So he had
Yeah.
to prove it. And he, of course, went to the Stanford D School, and they sent Cap and I to Hacking for Defense Educators course. And we started going through, the mission model canvas, the business model canvas out of Stanford. And we begin to see that it's about the end user, which blew my mind. I didn't think anything was about the guy turning wrenches or the guy holding the gun or checking IDs at the gate. I didn't think they were involved in the process. They could be, but I don't think they cared. Uh, but it was through hundreds of interviews. So
Yeah.
with any of these training programs, especially design warfare, we could be the worst instructors ever, and sometimes we are. Like, I bet there are a few DW grads that think very lowly of mine or maybe Cap's education style, but we could be the worst instructors ever, and it's just talking to 100 airmen and empathizing with their problem. That's what gets you across the finish line, like every time.
Yeah. 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 And when you uh, that journey of being able to look at, I mean, just being able to go through that process because it's not when you started off to be able to have this design warfare mindset and even to be able to start building it. It's not, you were going through that learning process yourself. And that's one thing to me, that's a win for people to realize is when you get involved or you have an idea, oftentimes when we say, when you get in, I guess I've been guilty of saying it, but I've said when you get into innovation or you step into it, it's something we're doing or should be doing all the time. It's not a job you step into. That doesn't make sense. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset that you kind of allow yourself to start operating in more of
Yeah.
thinking and applying that. But you don't have it figured out when you start trying that. Like, you're learning it
No.
while you're building these things, these not just projects, but while you're building these solutions, you're learning it yourself as well.
Exactly. It's a mentality. So the first three times, there are 15 of us total that are L4I graduates from the program, including Cap and I. Like, we're among the worst. Um, I don't think we learned anything valuable over those first three cohorts, except for like what actually matters, which is the interviews. And then so we took three terrible. It was 5 weeks each too. So 15 airmen, 5 weeks each, just a complete waste of time, basically, as far as value to us as the airmen. But from that, we realized what's important to teach. So that's when, maybe it was 2 years ago now, we dropped L4I, we rebranded, and then the course just massive changes. It's not the same thing. Hacking for Defense is amazing, and I fully support it. Uh, I do interviews with those guys,
Yeah.
but it's no longer anything like it. Um, all the scenario, it's all scenario based. That was probably our biggest pivot there, Trigger. If I was to think about it, we kept the interviews, and then we switched the training style from lecture,
Yeah.
which I love lecture. I'll lecture all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But design warfare is actually experiential. So everything it's either interactive discussion for a few of them, or it's really annoying or really fun exercises, like a kindergartner would have, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, oh man, do we make some people mad? But we need an emotion in order to learn and make it stick. So look, if you're going to take design warfare, every exercise has a purpose.
Yeah.
Some of them are to trick you, but some of them aren't. Some
Yeah.
of my students now, they would not be tricked a second time. Talking to you, Nathan Petit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the style of learning, and then it's the empathy, and that's what design warfare is now. And it's not about the money. I don't think we pushed for a cyber contract a couple cycles. It's just that's not where we're at right now. We don't need the money and the stuff. We need the people.
Right.
Like you said, the new mentality.
Right. Because the mentality goes so far. I mean, there you are, right there. You like that? Tink, tink. You're right there, right there in my screen. But the mentality goes so far. It's like he's like a little mini me. Hello. The mentality goes so far is because you're not just fixing the thing, the widget. Hello, mini me. There it is. You're not just fixing.
Sorry,
the
were you
thing.
making a point? I got distracted.
No. I loved having you right there. You're not just fixing a thing. It's not just the solution. It's an entire approach to how you. It's the entire mindset of how you approach mission, operations, system challenges, successes. It's the way that you approach it. It's kind of like, I almost equate it to, which I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to do it because, it's Morpheus winning Wednesday. We can say what we want right now until you can't.
Yeah.
Until you can't. But I almost equate it to, you ever met somebody who's just consistently negative all the time? Like, all they do is, everything out of their mouth is negative. And then you met the people that are perpetually positive, that it doesn't matter what it is. They're like, you know what? We're going to figure this out. We're going to get there. We're going to find a way. In my mind, like, innovation is that perpetually positive capability that you enable, and it totally changes the teams. It changes the environment. It changes the productivity and the performance of when you have that mindset. It allows you to look at situations differently. And when you have that mindset going into it of saying, you know what, let's see what's possible. Let's look at the realm of what's possible and explore it and try it and test it. And it just changes everything about it, because you're not confined by your limitations. You are the world is open to the possibilities of what can be or what could be, and it's completely different. It's like a glass half full versus half empty when you have that approach. And that's, to me, the coolest thing about having met DW grads and seeing them go through the different cohorts is they go from this place of being confined by the things they have seen and the limitations of maybe their resources in the system to going back to their units and organizations and saying, wait a minute, like, why are we thinking like this? Why do we think that's a limitation? Maybe that's actually not a limitation at all. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I like to break down like persistent problems into two categories. And the first one, like you're nailing, and it's what we are able to address in design warfare. That's a pessimistic problem. Um,
Mm,
yes, the problem exists, but there's no way I can solve it. That that's the easy one. We can change that through education and awareness. So mostly, so we like to teach that um, airmen have problem, in their flights they have problems, but they don't attack them because they don't think anyone else cares. Like
right,
there's no money, there's no time, there's no energy available to address this problem. That's a pessimistic problem. So
right,
you educate them, you teach them how to go after the problem, and then what resources are available. Because there's enough money to solve any problem.
right.
Um, because if you solve it correctly, it pays for itself, viability. So that's the easy one, and that's the one that I think we're killing in design warfare. But the other one, uh, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Mr. Trigger,
Oh,
is the cynical problem. So we talked about the pessimistic problem, converting a pessimist into an optimist. So
mm,
I have a problem. I can actually solve it. Now the cynical problem. I have a problem and I don't want to solve it. And we want to make a cynic
wow,
into an evangelist, or at least move them in that direction. And
right,
that's the part that we haven't figured out yet.
right, right. Would you say when you talk about that of you haven't solved it in the sense of like how do you actually do that consistently to move them from that one mindset over to the next? Or are you saying it is getting them to be able to do that themselves, recognize that themselves?
to to accept, because we have biases, that they are being cynical, which most of them know it. But then to scale it, because onesie twosies are easy.
Right.
I like to I like to brag about being in the room when Austin, Chris, and Steven finished uh, half of AFWorks, the non-20 press half. I was in the room and I was cynical about it. I tried to talk them out of doing it because I didn't think the Air Force, I guess that's pessimistic too, I didn't think the Air Force would care, and I
Yeah.
didn't think it was worth going after. So I was eventually converted. So onesie twosies exist, and I'm sure, I mean, you're a pilot, you were cynical, probably still are in
Dude, I
some
actively
aspects,
fight against it. I'll
right?
tell you, there's a little negativity, cynicism running around up here, and I'm actively trying to crush it. But sometimes you just gotta objectively say no. It's okay. Like it's okay. Look at it for what it is. Go back to those foundational principles. And as you talk about those foundational principles of just that kind of the cynicism is that's really what a lot of you that's a lot of what you teach in DW is what is that foundation you can go back to that will pull you back to reality, that will pull you back to the truth of the situation. Because a lot of times I feel like we get wrapped up in the hyperbole of the situation or the symptoms of the situation, and we deviate so much so we actually lose track of what we're trying to solve, what the actual challenge is, and what are the steps that we need to take to be able to get there. Maybe it's just me, but I like rabbit trails. Not intentionally. I just happen to find them often.
Yeah, you can throw out the self-licking ice cream cone or scope creep or the other things that Austin DeHome failed to teach me a few years ago. But yeah, you lose sight of the root cause, and you just go off to these shiny things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, converting a cynic, that's that's what that's what keeps me up at night. There,
Yeah.
trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
but I think and you know from I haven't explored this experimentally, but in thought experiments, I think it's we talk about um, incentivize the action you want to see. The Air Force doesn't incentivize people that are cynical to become evangelists. Don't make me say difficult words. Trigger. Jeez. So
I try not to. I try
it's like
not
a
to.
redesign of the system, and a redesign of the system. I don't think it happened. Thus, it's a pessimistic problem that leads to a cynical problem.
Interesting. So when you talk about or when you think about that, um, of if it's not a total redesign of the system, because I think there's several things we could look at and say, hey, we fundamentally have to think about this differently. And this is kind of some of the challenge that we run into with Morpheus is there's a difference between you can get a solution that works right now. Like if you totally separate orbiting the giant hairball, that kind of ideology, if you separate the innovators or a unit totally outside of the normal system, they can succeed. They can create a pathway to success. They can knock things out of the park. They can 100% do it. But the real question is, how do you get that success that's there and transplant that back into the system itself and not have the system kill that because it doesn't know how to assimilate that? It's like an organ transplant. You can have a healthy organ, but if you're transplanting a healthy organ into a body that has major issues, it may not, one, it may not take, and two, the body can actually make that organ bad because of the issues that are there in that organ. So when you talk about these innovation and what you guys teach and do in design warfare to be able to get the mindset, build that foundation, how is it that you really do? I mean, what's your perspective on how do you take these ideas, these good ideas that are created in innovation and the spark cells and the mindset of people, but knowing that they have to be planted into a large system where things don't necessarily move fast? Because I've kind of heard people saying, man, there's no hope in doing that. I think there is. There's got to be a way. We may not have the answer, but there's got to be a way, right?
Yes. Love it. Orbiting Giant Hairball, great book. It is like from the 70s and it's Hallmark. Um, so many good points in there. But there's a book that kind of challenges it. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but talks about the precision machine or the precision engine. And you can think of the Air Force like an engine, a gas combustion engine. It's great unless it's a Jeep is going to get you from point A to point B, but it's not perfect. It loses energy to heat, hopefully not light, but sound. All those are losses of energy. So not pure efficiency, but it gets the job done. It takes you where you need to be. So in no way should we try to take down the big blue machine and start from scratch. And I was a bit, say, cynical when we founded the Space Force, and it seemed like it was just like a offshoot of the Air Force. I mean, it is part of the Department of Air Force, but
Yeah.
we like copy and pasted and then used Control F replace function and just changed air to space. And it's like you could have started from scratch. You could have thrown the whole thing away and built it from ground up. But really, we have an amazing system, like number one Air Force in the world, hands
Yeah.
down. Right?
Yeah.
We don't want to throw it out. For the
Right.
for the boomers in the room, the baby with the bathwater,
Right.
because apparently you used to throw bathwater, not drain it, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so we want to keep the big blue machine as it is, but we do need to pull people out of it in order to make change. And that book, which I'll use the title of it, that talks about the precision machine. It says the way you do that is you don't orbit the hairball. Instead, you take onesie twosies from the hairball, like different sections, air intake section, the fuel injection section, one person from each, shake them up, put them in a separate team together, but they're all still embedded in the same machine.
Yeah.
You just shuffle them, and
Yeah.
then that's the way you can make change in the Air Force. But that's really hard to do.
Right. 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 Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think that from what I hear, people kind of face the challenge at times of just getting worn down from trying to do that, of just
Yeah.
getting worn down. And so how do you, one of the wins, I really think, honestly, as we're talking Winning Wednesday, one of the wins I think is having the ecosystem of spark cells, of innovative minded people who are growing this. You have DW. DW is morphed into, Kappa is just finishing up a senior leader course, ability to be able to help senior leaders to understand this mindset that's organically grown and what does that look like. To me, the win of the ecosystem is you're not alone, because there did feel like a time, I don't know if you remember this back, where it was like we were kind of the nerds, and I mean that in totally an affectionate way, because I have the utmost respect for people who are that smart, because I'm not that. But you felt like this ostracized person on the side that's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to fix that, man? Just go with what we got. But now there's an entire system. There's Slack channels, there's Teams channels, there's communication, there's conferences. You just had ForceCon, where it's Air Force Gaming partnered with IMSC, talking about their pathways in Summit. I mean, you have this place that is growing to enable you to know you're not alone in this mindset. To me, that's a massive win of just having that alone. But is that enough? Is an ecosystem of people? I mean, these are hard questions, man. But
Yes,
is an
they're hard
ecosystem of the
questions.
willing, is a coalition of the willing minded enough to get us where we need to go?
It, I think yes. One of the models we try to replicate is weapon school. So instead of following the exact hierarchy of the Air Force, if the top B1 weapons or patch captain wants to talk to the top F-15 guy because they need to coordinate for a strike, you would never want to go through the hierarchy and have
Right.
the talk, up to the for the bomber guy up to the Eighth Air Force, and then back down to whatever numbered Air Force the F-15s are in. You
Yeah.
would never want to do that.
Right.
The hierarchy is wonderful, but it's not good for some of that dynamic. Instead, you want people within. So it's team of teams. It's cross-functional teams. People within each organization that know what the other has gone through and thus trust them to just go direct. You want those two captains just talking. You want them to pick up the phone and talk to each other directly, um, despite the pyramid that they should go through. And you have to build trust among the two. If you're going to call up someone, I don't want to use any examples, so I'm not going to because I don't want to
Yeah,
offend any of
I know
my
what you mean.
brethren. But you would never call up just some random guy, maybe a weather troop that doesn't specialize in strikes. You never just call him directly and start asking questions. You need someone that's gone through the same base knowledge level that you have, which is why we like having design warfare, because you've got someone in all, especially at Dias, you've got someone in almost every squadron that you could call if you need like quick information, you need to integrate with them. So yeah, it can be done, and the weapons school does it. So we just need to emulate that with other specialties like innovation.
Right. Right. To be able to, what do you think the barriers are to that?
Oh man, the
The
barriers.
barriers of being able to actually have that lateral communication without people feeling like, I'll just call it what it is, without people feeling like you're getting in their chili and you should have told me.
All right, we're getting some cliches here. Commanders don't
Oh,
like to
my
be
favorite.
surprised.
My
They
favorite.
don't.
I love cliches.
Yes, yeah. People have been saying this for hundreds of years. I assume I
Right.
wasn't around hundreds of years ago. I'm actually a young man, but hundreds of years ago, people were saying this, that commanders don't like to be surprised
Right.
and keep your boss in the loop.
Right.
But they need someday when you and I are commanders, we're going to give our people the freedom to possibly make us look bad.
Right.
Like, because we can't control everything. And
Right.
if we try to control everything, not enough can happen because we're, theory constraints, we're the constraining factor. You need your people that work for you to have freedom to make you look bad, because
Right.
they can also make you look good if that's what your concern is.
Right.
But right now, not enough Air Force leaders um, realize that. And it's because of the system. We only have 2-year command gigs. You have no time in there to make mistakes and recover. So why would you risk making a mistake? Because if you just do well and move and, and do like a little well, you're doing way better than the guy that risked big and fell short. So
Right.
it's going to be leaders accepting looking bad.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll take one more step with this. And for anybody who's jumping in, you're like, why are they talking about me? I've actually never had anybody question what we talk about here, which is oddly, it means one or two things. One, they're not listening and they're not watching this. Or two, they think that it's okay. They're like, these are good discussions. These are necessary discussions. But why? I'll ask this. This is uh, dude, this question is loaded. It's a loaded question.
Oh, good,
Disclaimer.
good.
Loaded
Live
question alert.
live footage. I like it.
Loaded
This is
question.
wonderful.
But why is it that why is it that would be a concern to a commander for like looking bad or feeling as though that they would have to protect themselves against looking bad or failure happening or enabling that? Because on winning Wednesday, we have Fail Fast Friday. We talk about the importance of failures. It's a part of growth. You have to be able to recognize. You have to be able to see those failures. You have to be able to afford the opportunity for those to happen. But what causes us to be fearful of that in this large system, from your perspective?
All right. Good. So loaded. Love it.
I'm
First,
sure you do. There you go. There you go.
first of all, commanders that want to get promoted is not a bad thing. Um, if good people don't strive to move up, the chain of command, then bad people will. So even like the guy, his heart isn't for, for the Air Force. He's building up his airmen. He's mission focused. Um, he's the guy you want to be the next oh 06, oh 07, oh 08 and beyond. If those guys still exist, don't show them this video.
Right. Right.
So we want good people to do well. Otherwise, bad people do well.
Right.
So no, in order to go up the chain, you need to impress your boss because they write the piece of paper that gets you promoted. So a 2-year command cycle is it's just not enough. It's not enough time for you to make these failures. We teach in design warfare that takes 18 months to get an idea and to see it through some level of failure or success. 18 months, and that's with SIBR. So that's with back when SIBR was easier to get, phase twos. So easy money, and then experts helping you with your problem. 18 months, but 18 months is, with in processing, out processing, and handover. That's your whole command cycle. So you get like one chance to attack a problem with very little iteration, and it's just not enough. But then
Right.
so root cause analysis. Okay, so we should make command longer. I don't think that would fix it either, because now you've got people stuck in jobs and they can't promote fast enough. So then we slow down the whole promotion system, and then people don't want to retire when they're 80. So then once again, good guys get out and they go to industry, and we're left with the other guys. So
Right.
tough problem, one that I have not solved yet, but I do want to circle back and say it's not bad to want to be promoted because good people need to succeed. But there's not enough timeline to fail in a command gig, in my opinion, having never been a commander.
Right. Right.
Caveat.
No, I'm with you 100%. I really am. That's why I ask you a loaded question, because I don't want to get written off as always having an opinion about something. In fact, I have very few opinions. I'm just the talker, just the mouthpiece of communicating to allow other people to share theirs. But whatever is incentivized is going to become a focus of behavior. If incentivization is, hey, I have to play my cards right, I have to not do something that's going to disrupt the system in order to not get identified or singled out. There's been disruptors, I would say, even that we've seen in the last 3 years, where what they've done, the effects of what they've done has been hugely successful. However, they personally as an individual didn't move on because they were like, hey, you are a little bit too far outside of you're a little bit too far outside of the window of just going rogue. But the idea was good, and it was not only is good, but it's still staying here. But I've literally seen that is that you've had people who have worked incredibly hard. They have great ideas. The idea has gone on to succeed, but they just continued to be that person at the edge. And that I think is one of the things that we just have to start talking about in the innovation ecosystem when we're talking about growing this culture and mindset. Is there is an inherent risk that when you go to the edge, there's not a lot of people that are willing to go to the edge. You ever been to the Grand Canyon and see the people who walk right up to the edge?
I've actually never been to the Grand Canyon on foot,
Me
only
neither.
in the V1.
Me neither. I was hoping that maybe just for this example you had been.
Well,
But
I saw videos of people doing that, so
right.
I can confirm it happened.
Right. I can do that with ideas. I can't do that physically. I don't like high limits. But for those who are willing to do that, the edge can be a scary thing. And if we don't allow, if we don't create a space or a mindset or an activity, kind of like you were talking about, going from being pessimistic to being optimistic. If we don't create the space to be optimistically hopeful that maybe you can go to the edge and you can try and you can fail, then what we're doing is creating literally a culture which tells everybody, hey, just stay away from the edge. Don't get close to the edge. Don't stay there. But when you look at our senior leaders, that's not what they're asking of us. They're saying, listen, try it. We have to change. We have to think differently. We have to try things. We have to test things. Don't just take yes and don't just take no, but know why and explore the possibilities of what are there. Any thoughts on that?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you do.
I got one. You ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you're the talker. I'm the listener. I'm going to take what you said, turn it all around. Incentivize what you want to see. So they want to see people taking chances. So I had the luxury of being in DC a month or so ago, and I got to 5 minutes of the great Chuck Norris from the Strategic Studies Group. I got 5 minutes of his attention, and we were spitballing. Um, and one idea, so we have not fleshed this out. Well, he might have because he's awesome. But imagine if your OPR or your EPR was 6 bullets. The first 2 bullets, or the middle 2 bullets, are what you're doing now for your mission. I fixed all these C-130s. Like 2 bullets, current mission. This is for commanders.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not EPR for commanders. And then the 2 bullets on top are what did you do to set up the next guy for success? And that's living on the edge. Like, how did you set the guy up for success? And
Right.
the bottom 2 bullets, so this is where it gets crazy. The bottom 2 bullets are written by the guy that has your job 2 years after you had it. He's signing that line. He said, this guy hooked me up. He invested in 2 SIVR projects and sent 3 airmen through design warfare. And because of that, here's how our unit is currently benefiting. So then your raider gets your OPR and he's like, yeah, you did a great job now. But what have you done for the next guy? And then what did you do for the previous guy? And then
Yeah.
that'll get someone, thinking, investing in the future of their unit, which all commanders do. Is just they have to prioritize future versus current, which is a very tough decision to make. And if your OPR only talks about what you're currently doing, it makes it a lot easier of a decision.
Right. Yes. Yes. It absolutely does. Oh my gosh, dude. That's golden. Absolutely golden. I love the idea. I love the idea. I really do, because it's not just what you do or what you say you've done. It's literally really the impact. That's why when you look at some of the companies, a couple of years ago, I'd referred to as Valve, some of the gaming companies in front leading edge, as thinkers, they use the 360 feedback, but it's like really, it's not just a name. It's an actuality. Like they truly allow other people to say, yeah, this is, they're really good at this. This is what they do. I understand there's been kickback sometimes as far as the 360 feedback, because then it makes you more focused on the popularity and the connectivity with people. But I personally think that if the culture is focused on enabling somebody to truly step into that creative mindset or to just truly be themselves, if that's the culture of what that is, then the feedback that you'll get in that culture is real, honest feedback of how people are performing and what that looks like. But again, to me, it really, really comes back to, especially as we're talking wins, there's the ability to have these conversations right now. I don't think even existed 3 years ago, because it was just not something that was even up for question or up for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love the most. Winning Wednesday, that's what I love the most. We can have these conversations and nobody's beating us over the head by saying, you need to stop that, because it's free to think, free to question.
This could be this could be the one.
This
Could
could
be
be
the one that shuts down the whole show.
this. You're 100% right. This absolutely could be the one. This could. I feel like I say that every single week. Honestly, but turns out there's a lot of people. A lot of people do agree, especially as they listen and say, "Yeah, man, that's a really good point. That's really thinking. How do we do that?" And I guess the last disclaimer I'd give is we don't have all the answers by any means at all. A lot of what we talk about here on Winning Wednesday, Fail Fast Friday, a lot of what's discussed in even DW and watching some of the cohorts and the students go through that is it's just pitching out the ideas. You just have to be willing to throw it out there and give it a shot. Let the bird out of the
Yeah.
cage.
When unsure what to do, just do something.
Yeah.
See if it works.
Get moving. Get moving. It's good. Dude, what
Try
are
something.
what are you excited about from what you have seen with what you are seeing, not only with design warfare, but with the impact that it's had to airmen and now, senior leaders and just across the Air Force as a whole? What are you seeing that's really exciting, that is really encouraging to you as we kind of close out this Wednesday of Winning Wednesday?
All right. What's exciting well, in my personal life, I'm very excited to go to Blue Horizons in a month.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome. I'm at Air University.
And we're excited for you to go. We are.
Yes. Can't wait to learn from the pros,
We're
bunch
all
of
counting on you.
PhDs. But what I'm excited about is the generation of airmen 10 years from now. You and I, like, we're on our way out. We're not going to be here in 10 years, but especially our graduates, the senior airmen, staff sergeants, and then the young techs, and then, man, lieutenants, young captains, they're like, that's the Air Force in 10 years. And those guys they're bright-eyed, they're optimistic, they're not cynical, not yet at least. And then we're getting those guys. Most of our graduates from design warfare are from that range. So I don't know if we're going to solve today's problems or the problems of the next 5 years. But I'm very optimistic and confident about the problems 10 years from now, when these guys are all leading shops and leading squadrons. And then
Right.
I get final thoughts too, right?
You do. You do. The only thoughts that matter are yours right now.
Okay, is it time? Is it time to close out, or you got more
No,
questions?
go for your thoughts.
Okay, so I, after being in a Spark Cell for 2.5 years, um, amazing job. I didn't think that I was building skills that would actually help me in the Air Force. I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to be just some random lieutenant colonel for the next 10 years, and then I'll, retire at 20. But I recently had the honor of being deployed to Task Force Holloman, the 487th AEW, um, and I went in not as a B1 guy, just went in as a. I think my billet was the exec, is what they told me when I got there. Um, but I actually got to apply the stuff that I teach into a brand new scenario. And what was great about it was when we set up those task forces, like I wasn't there for the first 2 months when it was most difficult. I was there through for the 2 month mark to the 6 month mark when we were
Yeah.
shutting it down. So I didn't get to go through the crazy days, but when I got there, like it was unwritten. There was still so much to figure out, and I just applied what I was teaching,
Yeah.
and it was phenomenal. So I was the exec. I was the mayor of the Afghan village, which is a job I did not seek, as General Gabrielli would tell you. I did not seek that role, but I just listened to airmen. I trusted them to make decisions, and I got out of the way. And when they needed help, I got in the way. When they
Yeah.
didn't need help, I got out of the way. And I am so motivated now. Like I had no desire to ever be a squadron commander or anything, but
Yeah.
it's I'm excited. It's going to be a new Air Force, and I'm on board. I'm reblued, because it was such a great mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
So innovation can be applied to to the Air Force. These are not skills that only translate to the outside world. These are skills that we need to apply today, um, every chance we get.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny you say that because these experiences, when you see those opportunities, kind of goes back to the optimism pessimism thing. You could look at that and be like, man, I don't want to have to deal. Like, God, why do I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to go. Like, I got this going on with my family. Now's not the time. But when you look at
I
those
said
things that
that.
are, huh? What's that?
I said that. So yes, true.
Yeah. When you look at those as an opportunity, and you see it for what it is and what it can be, um, you have these moments. You have those moments that have like a significant emotional event, a significant life changing event, because it literally gives you the ability to look at something and say, man, I wouldn't even consider, but because I have this experience now, I can look at it and I can say, you know, maybe I do want to be a squadron commander. Maybe I do actually want that step because this piece, this experience, totally changed my mindset, my perspective. Brandon Eastman said, "We got so much room to grow, DWs. I'm so happy. Met Wedge along the way. Truly, truly awesome. Awesome." And Meredith Cran said, "We what you can't see the one said, and you are amazing at it. The perfect guy for the perfect job. Perfect guy for the job. Look at that. Your fan club is following you all the way along. Love it. Love it. They know
Thank you, ma'am.
they
And
normally
then,
do."
for Brandon Eastman, if you got a tech sergeant billet in your unit and you want an excellent DW facilitator that's going to change your organization, you need to hire Brandon Eastman over the next 1 year.
There he is. Jobs are open. Phone lines open. Give him a call. Snag him up while you can.
Yeah.
It's snag him up while you can. What would you say? Like, what is the encouraging wedge, the optimistic wedge? What would you say to somebody who is hearing about this, who's hearing about um, what innovation is and the freedom of thinking and the freedom to be able to solve your problems and challenges, but maybe they've just been held back, or maybe they haven't necessarily seen the opportunity to be able to do that. What would you say to them? How would we encourage them this Wednesday as we close out?
All right. I have no idea what the future holds other than being optimistic about 10 years from now, our graduates, units. But
Yeah,
I do know that 5 years ago, and you keep talking about this because you're right. 5 years ago, this was not a rewarding system. I
right.
used to encourage my enlisted innovators not to take full-time billets and anything innovation because it was not helping. But but now things have changed. Desperation drives innovation, and we as an Air Force, like we are desperate. We see what's coming on the horizon, and we need creative ideas. So just because your shop chief, or not shop chief, shop chief's great. Just because your frontline supervisors might not get it, and it might be oppressive. You just demonstrate value. You push, you push, you push, and it's the frozen middle is thawing. It's almost non-existent nowadays. It still takes time to get to the
Right.
hierarchy, but we, not we as in Trigger and I, but we as Air Force innovators have broken through. And then our senior leaders, they've, like the sun blasting down in the cloud, they burned through hole through the top. So now is the time. So if you want to try something new, seize it. Do it now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
the field is open.
that statement you just made that the frozen middle is melting away. Dude. Okay, that's quote of the century. Absolutely love it. Great content right there. We'll have to say that one. However, there's no however. There's the yes and, if you will.
Yes, and
Yes and.
good,
Oh,
good.
look at that.
You've taken design warfare.
No, I haven't. That's the amazing thing. I haven't done it. I just absorbed from all these awesome DW grads. You get to be around and hear, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much goodness. The yes and, though, to this is, that growth is happening when the frozen middle is talking about their frustration with the frozen middle because they identify that they're starting to identify that those things in other places, and like, gosh, this is so frustrating. Like, man, if they would just blah blah blah. But they're also kind of having that internal thing of, and you start seeing that change happening. We're making headway. Like, we are truly making headway. Culture's changing, mindsets are changing. We're growing across the Air Force, and might I say the Space Force, the United States Space Force, to our guardians as well. To our guardians. Awesome. Well, listen, you can follow along with Wedge, not only LinkedIn, but also in DW if you're interested. You can go to the Allspark page, right? The Allspark page, allspark.com. You can go to that. Is it .com? .org? I always screw that up. Allspark.
Yeah, it's one of those for sure.
Yep. Okay, go to one of those. Allspark.com or .org. You can go there, follow along, find out what it is. One of the really cool things about Allspark, which is design warfare, is you have the ability to be able to find out where the cohorts are. Global Strike was just had a cohort. I think they had a cohort or getting up for a cohort. You have the senior leaders cohort that is coming up. Cohorts, they are just the opportunities for there to be able to get plugged in. So if you look at this and you look at your organization and say, hey, we need this. You know what would be really cool? I don't know if it's happened yet. If a squadron commander said, we're doing this. This squadron.
Then the whole unit goes through it.
Yes. Dude, that's exciting. I would challenge any squadron commander who's out there. If you're a squadron commander right now, or you're about to be a squadron commander, I would challenge you, double down. Try it. Do it. It takes a commitment. It'll take time. You'll have to figure out what that looks like and how to be able to do that, especially with schedules and whatnot. But I would say, Wedge and the team, the DW grads, the excellence that are there, they would be able to find a way to be able to help and enable that. If there is a squadron commander bold enough, willing to be able to do it, I put the challenge out to them.
If you're out there, reach out.
And
we'll make it happen. allsparkaf@gmail.com. You tell me your whole squadron's going through it. And then we've got the 4-week course, but right now we're also testing a 11-week course where it's 1 full week, 1 day a week, and then 1 week at the end. So it's much more manageable in the high ops tempo.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Okay, so say that one more time. What was that? It was Allspark.
AF. Allspark Air Force, AF@gmail.com.
Okay,
It's all the facilitators. We share that email address. Allspark AF for Air Force.
Okay. I'm putting that in there right now. Allspark. ALL. Allspark. Boom, right there. Allspark. You can also, 2 emails right there for you to reach out to. One is if you want to get a hold of us, Morpheus, your strategic innovation team, you can hit us up at team@morpheusaf.com. If you're interested in design warfare, of getting connected with design warfare, you can email that right there, which is allspark, just like you said, allspark af@gmail.com. Great opportunity for you to be able to do that. I'll leave that right there as we get ready to close out. Wedge, dude, so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck, best of encouragement to you as you get ready to go out to Blue Horizons. Parting shots, the one last piece, somebody to be encouraged as they go into the rest of their day. What would you say to them?
I'm going to instead encourage you, Trigger, I need the Air Force to change or lose, but I need you to not change at all. You're perfect. Make it weird. Making it weird.
It's too emotional for me. I can't. Dude, that was golden. I really appreciate that. I will not change 1 ounce. I can't. It is who I am. I know who I am, and it's just, this is what you get, man. It's true.
Boom.
Right there, Allspark team at morpheusaf.com if you're trying to get a hold of Morpheus, or for Design Warfare, allsparkaf at gmail.com. My friends, Wedge, it's been a blast, dude. You've just, you wedge yourself in there just so well, so nicely, perfectly.
That's what I do.
It's what you do. Wedge, we'll see you later, brother. Thanks so much, so much for joining us, truly. We will see you, my friends, Fail Fast Friday, coming up this Friday, 12 Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. Don't hesitate. Also, next week, I am excited to tell you, we have next Wednesday, Air Force Gaming. That's right, we are doing the ForceCon wrap-up, talking about the awesome event that ForceCon was. The dream team of Air Force Gaming people here, also going to be streaming live. They're with them, Air Force Gaming, on Discord and Twitch. Morpheus is expanding. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. Have a great, innovative day, and we'll see you later on Fail Fast Friday. See you, friends.